With your Tackle HD fishing report for Lake of the Ozarks, here's Jack Uxa.
What's going on, everybody? It's Jack Uxa here with your Lake of the Ozarks Tackle HD fishing report. I'm going to start off with crappie fishing because, to be honest with you, I've been doing a lot of crappie fishing over the last several months, and it's starting to kind of fade away. I'm starting to get into some other stuff. I'm doing a lot more bass fishing, doing some cat fishing now. Eventually, I'll start doing some white bass fishing. And so the crappie fishing is going to be kind of a quick, a few minutes here and there. I'll talk about it. It's kind of different. So we've had a prolonged spawn, we'll call it. There's some crappie that are still shallow. In general, this year, the lake has been very clear, and we've had a lot of moss, particularly on that lower end of the lake. The moss can get kind of annoying for casting around it. But it's the most moss I've ever seen really on the lake, and it's starting to break up, which that's nice. Hopefully it'll continue to break up, and the water levels hopefully will continue to rise. We jumped about, almost a foot here over the last few days, so that's nice. And, a lot of the fish are going to be getting into this post-spawn phase, okay? I'm not seeing nearly as many bass up on the banks as I was last week. Same thing with the crappie. There's some of them still on the banks. A lot of them have moved out to a little bit deeper docks. I'm not going to say really deep docks. I'm saying 10 foot down over 30 feet of water. They're doing okay. It's not like it was, though. I'm not nearly excited about the crappie as I have been over the last, say 6 months or so. The coldest months of the year is when I'm really kind of more excited about them. But they're still catchable, and there's still some good ones out there. And this year we've just got a great crop of crappie that have been born a few years ago, and they've grown up to a nice size right now, and they're biting pretty good. So crappie jigs, look for your main lake docks. Like I said, 10 feet down over 30 feet of water or 40 feet of water. Side scan is a big deal right now, whether you got Humminbird, Garmin or whatever, Lowrance. Side scan your docks, try to eliminate a lot of those unproductive docks. Concentrate on the docks that have just got schools of crappie on them. That's awesome. The trolling bite has definitely picked up here really strong. Over the last few years, we've had a lot of fishermen interested in trolling. For years, it was trolling was kind of like, no, we don't really do that around here. But it's really caught on. People are loving it. Trolling, this is a Berkeley Money Badger crankbait. That's one I helped out with, but you could take a lot of crankbaits. I mean, honestly, even your tackle HDs, crankbaits in the crawfish colors, I've even thrown those things back there. I really don't know how to explain why they work out there, but crappie tend to bite them, especially now. You want to concentrate on the best trolling crappie crankbait bite from now until sometime it'll be in June when we have this shad hatch where all these little baby shad are out there. And those little tiny baby shad are really hard to compete with. And at that point, they won't bite these crankbaits as well. So right now, the shad are pretty good size, and they'll bite these bigger crankbaits. And you can cover water pretty quick with it. A lot of the fish are trying to move off the banks and get a little bit deeper. So, it's a great time to troll. It's not going on all over the lake, but honestly, it's day to day at this point. I think if you go up to the Nianguas, Hurricane Deck, a little bit in the state park area, it's already started. And if you go down to the lower end of the lake, it's not really going on yet. But I mean, by the time you watch this video, it might be different. I'm looking forward to that trolling bite. It should be fun. I'm just not exactly banking on it for tomorrow's trip. So. Bass fishing. Bass fishing's been pretty good, All the big tournaments are out of the way, which is a big deal on this lake. We've had a ton of big tournaments. Me and my buddy Andy Messina, we got another nice check in the last Anglers in Action tournament. That was awesome. We had a limit in the first hour. A lot of fish coming on top waters. And and then we continued to cull fish throughout the day, really, and upgrade. Wasn't good enough to get the win or anything like that, but we got, I think we got 5th place overall in the Angler of the Year, or the Team of the Year kind of race, which was cool. That's always nice to do, to to do good against those kind of fishermen. That's 150 boat tournaments to 200 boat tournaments. So those guys are pretty serious. And for us to get fifth place in the team of the year deal, that's awesome. So bass fishing's been good. I mean, a lot of the bass have been shallow. Had a bass trip today. It was kind of like a bass and crappie, or I'm sorry, bass and catfish trip. But man, we caught a lot of bass on topwater. Caught a lot of bass in general. Topwater, we've been having some rain here off and on. It hasn't really been heavy storms, but we've been having a lot of rain. And topwater, shallow bass. It's pretty fun. I mean, this is my 20th year guiding. And that's one thing that's never gotten old, is watching a bass come up and eat a topwater. That is just awesome. Just keep it on the move too. Like a few weeks ago, we were being really thorough and really dissecting areas. If you got into a group of bass, you just dissect everything in that area. You pick apart every dock, you get behind every dock, you spend a lot of time back there. Lately, it's been keep on the move. The fish are active, the bass are active. Now, whether you're throwing a topwater or like later on, I'll be talking about throwing a square bill, just keep on the move, because there's a lot of fish that are up shallow. They're pretty aggressive. And you just want to continue on with that. I mean, especially early in the morning, or if you got some cloud cover and you got some wind and you got a front coming in or something like that, particularly during the week, that's always easier too. Now, as the sun has been up for a little while and maybe it's calm, it's a great time to throw a shaky head. We've been throwing a lot of these MF shaky heads by Tackle HD. I love the hook on them. There's a lot of other companies that, sometimes we'll just pick up a random shaky head, throw it out there for a little while. Well, you kind of lose some fish on some shaky heads. If you don't set the hook with some authority, you set the hook, the fish comes up to the surface, spits out your shaky head. With these Gamakatsu hooks on here, you guys could probably see that. No, you can't see that. Made with Gamakatsu hooks, so they're awesome. They're the best. They're not cheap, but they last you a good long time, and it's really just the best hook out there. So shaky heads have been great for middle of the day and just picking up those bass that maybe aren't quite ready to commit up high in the water column. And really soft plastics in general. I mean, even though we're kind of moving on with the spawn, I know a lot of these bass are still spawning, but they're not spawning quite as shallow as they were before. A week ago, the wacky worm bite was just on fire. And that's still there because that bait will help you get underneath the docks better. And anytime you can get underneath the dock, it's just a big deal. If you can get your bait 2 or 3 feet below, on the bad side of a cable, that's just a big deal. You got to be able to do that. That's going to get you some extra bites throughout the day. And, that's what this whole game comes down to is, if you get underneath the catwalk to the dock, the shallow side, the shallow corner of the dock, that's all a big deal right now. And, a lot of soft plastics in general. I've also been using some of these Stealth HD jig heads, the 5/16 ounce one. I've got one on a little bait right here. It skips great. This is just a little beaver type of bait, really soft. Once again, this bait will just skip better than a lot of other baits. And this jig head, I don't know if they designed it for skipping or what. I think they designed it for the Tackle HD craw, really. But man, I use it for all kinds of little soft plastic baits. I do use a little dab of super glue on these things because I'm a cheap guy and I don't like wasting a lot of time. Re-rigging my baits. And plus the super glue, man, when we're banging them against these cables and banging them against the, skipping them hard like a rock, that's kind of rough on the bait, So, I mean, put a little dab of super glue on there, save you some time. This is another bait that's been starting to catch some more fish. This is a little Nico rig. A lot of the guys that were fishing that FLW tournament here, the FLW Invitational, were throwing Nico rigs. Last year, I was throwing a Nico rig a lot. It catches fish. Once again, you don't have that, you don't lose the fish like you could lose a fish with a shaky head. a lot of the guys I take out fishing, the guy I had out today, the guy I had out a couple days ago, they don't bass fish on a regular basis. So, I had a guy out not too long ago, and he hasn't bass fished in 35 years. So, you know, um, these baits are a little bit more forgiving with average hook sets. Like a Nico rig is easy to set the hook on, and it's just a different look. I mean, I know you guys can't see it that great, but that's it makes the hook look huge on this, but it's really not really that big. And you could put different weights in there, um, and just throw it around just the back corners of the docks, the shallow corners of docks. There are some fish on the deeper side of the docks too. Topwaters have been working out there. Small swimmers have been working out there, like the 3.5 swimmer. I've also been doing some chatterbaits in general. The shad spawn is still going on. It's not as heavy as it was a week ago, but you're still seeing some shad that are chasing your baits back to the boat. And, just I've got some minnow flukes over here. These are great for the outside dock corners. They're soft. They're easy to throw. You don't get hung up on them too much. And, I do have some Carolina rig baits out here. This is that little bit bigger bait. That's that Megamite. My buddy Bass and Bob has just been doing steady, consistent, doing good, and just throwing a Carolina rig. I'm doing all these other things, all this fancy stuff, doing those hard casts underneath the docks. And, my buddy Bob is just taking it easy and throwing a Carolina rig and catching just as many fish with that thing. So good for him. I mean, that's a great bait on a Carolina rig too. It's I'll get one out of the pack to show you. It's very similar to that Nico rig I just had, except for the fact that it's a bigger bait. Sometimes scale is hard to see on these videos, but this is a great color too. One side's kind of blue, the other one's green pumpkin, and that's a great Carolina rig bait. They call it green pumpkin blue, and that's the 8-inch one. So yeah, soft plastics in general, topwaters. I want you to be topwater heavy, and stay on the move. Look for your pockets on the main lake or close to the main lake. Don't go into your spawning pockets as much now. There's still some fish back there, but there's not as many fish back there. A lot of the spawn is kind of moving on. We don't have any current this year, which is, it's not really helping them get out to the bluffs usually, but now the bluffs are starting to do pretty good. And there's still some fish on there, but, the lack of current is actually a big story, guys. Normally speaking, by this time of year, Truman Lake is getting up there pretty high, 10 feet high, 15 feet high. If we don't have that current in June is my favorite month. It's everybody's favorite month. All the hardcore bass fishermen, we all love June. If we don't have that current, June's not going to be a special. And, while we've been getting some rain, we're getting rain right now. It's not really enough rain to really elevate Truman Lake level to 10 feet high. Everything's greened up here lately. We've still got some pollen falling, but the ground is soaking it up. It's been great for fishing. It's been hard to plan when the rain is going to be here and when it's not going to be here. But this light rain that we've been having is awesome for fishing. That's exactly what you want to fish in. If that weather forecast and the 7-day forecast says one day where it's 0% chance of rain and you think that's the day you want to go, you're wrong. Okay? That's the day that's like post-frontal and high pressure, and you're probably not going to catch as many fish. That day where you got about 30-40% chance of rain, that's the day you want to go fishing, because the pressure's not going to be rising then, and the fish are going to bite better. So, yeah, we've been having a lot of good weather lately. Been getting wet, but it's May. It's normal for this time of year for that to happen, and it helps the fish bite, guys. I mean, that's what it comes down to. We've had probably a couple hundred tournaments by now, and a lot of them are going to start to kind of chill out, and all the big ones are going to be done until late August, until September. So that's a big deal. We'll still have a lot of tournaments in the summertime, but they're 30, 40 boat tournaments, maybe 50 boat tournaments. So, the 150 boat tournaments or the 200 boat tournaments are in the past, at least for a couple months. So tight lines, everybody. Fishing's been good. Bass fishing's been a lot easier. I will say this: I've started catfishing a little bit. Man, last night was horrible. Today was awesome. Last night we did some jugging. That was usually a cheat code, and it wasn't working at all. But we got out and rod and reel fished for the catfish today for about an hour and a half. Caught a bunch of nice catfish, 2 to 5 pounds, and threw our biggest one back and ate the rest of them. And the customer was happy, and that's starting up right now. As we get into the summer months, I'm going to do more and more catfishing, and that's fun. That's easy, and it's recreational, and anybody can do it. So keep that in mind too, guys. Tight lines.
Right now, you can find our Tackle HD Crankhead and Square Bill 2-packs in over 200 Walmart locations across the Midwest. It's a great value, and we've got some awesome colors for you to choose from. Just look for the Tackle HD display next time you visit the fishing aisle at Walmart.